folks, and welcome to another Pokemon 2023 or Pokemon Horizons the series anime episode review. This time I am talking about episode 6, so let's get to it. The episode begins where the previous one ended, with Liko and Sprigatito about to be snatched by Amethio and his Corviknight. However, the pendant activates once again, keeping Liko and Sprigatito safe. The ancient Pokeball soon reacts to the pendant and it begins to shine as well. Fried tries to approach Liko and Roy in order to protect them, but he and the Charizard are kept away by the two explorers, thus allowing Amethio to confront Liko and Roy. Since they refuse to cooperate, Amethio challenges them both to a battle, and he sends out Ceruledge. While they know that they don't stand a chance, Liko and Roy choose to fight. Sprigatito and Fuecoco use Leafage and Ember respectively, but Ceruledge easily shrugs off both attacks. Liko, Sprigatito, Roy, and Fuecoco decided to switch tactics by attacking again, but from the sides. The result is the same, though this time with a side order of Psycho Cut. However, Sprigatito and Fuecoco refuse to give up, and they glow momentarily. Amethio comments that they got stronger once driven into a corner. My guess is that Overgrow and Blaze activated. Liko, Sprigatito, Roy, and Fuecoco switch tactics once more. This time they attack as one. Sprigatito uses Leafage to blind Ceruledge, which allows Fuecoco to land a direct hit with a close-range Ember. Unfortunately though, their combined attack does not stop Ceruledge, who uses Phantom Force to hit and incapacitate both Sprigatito and Fuecoco. Just as Ceruledge is about to finish them off, Liko asks the pendant to protect them again. The pendant responds to her request by once again glowing. However, instead of generating a barrier, it reacts with the ancient Pokeball once more, which ends up opening, summoning a pillar of light that splits the clouds, and a Shiny Rayquaza emerges from it, shocking everyone, especially Roy, who thought that the Pokeball was empty. Taking advantage of the commotion, Fried slips past the two explorers, and he reaches Liko and Roy while wondering what is going on. Roy explains that Rayquaza appeared out of the ancient Pokeball. Rayquaza proceeds to use Draco Meteor to rain destruction upon the beach. Since the situation has gotten out of hand, Amethio decides to retreat alongside his fellow explorers. Roy tries to get Rayquaza to go back into its Pokeball, but it refuses. It then stares at Liko, clearly taking note of her, likely because of the pendant. Rayquaza then flies away, much to everyone's relief. After the crisis has passed, Orla conducts an inspection of the brave Asagi, which allows her to determine that the airship is back to working condition. Meanwhile, the old man gives the explorer's tracking device to Quaxley, who destroys it. The episode then cuts to Roy's house, where Liko and Roy bask in the joy of getting to see a legendary Pokemon up close, while Fried is instead basking in the thought of what the heck just happened. Roy's grandfather reveals that the Shiny Rayquaza is a legendary Pokemon that once obeyed the ancient adventurer. Fried wonders what such a Pokemon was doing inside of Roy's Pokeball. Roy's grandfather says that he has no clue, since he found the Pokeball in the beach when he was young, and since Roy wanted it, he gave it to him. He had no idea that such a Pokemon was inside of it. This proves my theory about Roy's grandfather being an ancient adventurer wrong, provided he is telling the truth, of course. Also, I was under the erroneous impression that ancient adventurer referred to a group of people. But here they clearly say the ancient adventurer, meaning that it is one person. Perhaps Liko's grandmother is or was the ancient adventurer, which is part of my theory. So, Roy rejoices at the fact that the Shiny Rayquaza belonged to the ancient adventurer, while Liko realizes that the pendant is connected to the ancient Pokeball somehow. So she wonders if Roy's grandfather knows anything about the pendant, but he doesn't. Freed decides that he will investigate the Shiny Rayquaza, since, as a Pokemon professor, he is intrigued by it. He then receives a call from Molly, who says that she is done tending to Sprigatito and Fuecoco. So Roy leaves in a hurry, since he wants to see Fuecoco. Liko and Freed run after him. Back at the airship, Charizard gives Fuecoco a Pokeball. Roy soon gets to the airship and he screams that he wants to know how Fuecoco feels about him. That he does not want to say goodbye. Instead, he wants them to sing and battle together more. Sprigatito and Fuecoco soon exit the airship. Liko happily embraces Sprigatito, while Roy tells Fuecoco that he wants to be its partner. Fuecoco spits out the Pokeball Charizard gave it. Roy takes this as a sign that Fuecoco wants to be caught by him. After confirming that this is the case, Roy happily catches Fuecoco. The two of them then happily sing and dance around, with Liko being touched by such a heartwarming scene. Freed congratulates Roy for becoming a trainer, and he tells him to look after Fuecoco. Roy realizes that this means goodbye, but Fuecoco objects to the idea. Liko tells Roy that he said that he admired the ancient adventurer who traveled the world, so he should try setting off on a journey as well. But Roy says that his grandfather won't let him. However, Liko reassures him by saying that things will be fine now that he has Fuecoco, just like she was able to take a step forward thanks to Sprigatito. Roy decides to try convincing his grandfather, with Freed saying that Roy can join them if he succeeds. Roy's grandfather soon appears, and Roy tells him what he intends to do. While his grandfather is apprehensive at first, once Roy tells him about his dream of leaving the island to find legendary Pokemon, with the Shiny Rayquaza now being his specific target, and of his intention to fulfill Fuecoco's dream of being strong and cool like Charizard, he decides to allow Roy to depart, since he spoke not only of his dream, but also of his partner's dream, showing that trainer and the Pokemon are one as they should be. He then gives Roy a backpack filled with everything he will need for the journey and a jacket, revealing that he knew all along what Roy would want to do, and he had every intention of allowing it. So, Roy gears up, with Freed saying that when he returns, it will be riding on Shiny Rayquaza. Roy tells his grandfather to look forward to this, since he will let him ride on Rayquaza as well. The episode then cuts to a meeting between the explorers and their leader Giveon. Amethio reports what happened to Giveon, who berates him for acting alone and failing. Amethio is then ridiculed by Spinel, a fellow explorer. This leads to them bickering until they are reminded that they are in the presence of their leader. Giveon decides to remove Amethio from the pendant retrieval mission. He instead assigns Spinel to the job. The meeting ends and Giveon says to the butler explorer that they have found it. My guess is that he means Rayquaza, or perhaps even the ancient Pokeball. After the meeting, Amethio is visibly angry, but when his subordinates wonder if he is fine with his mission being taken away, he says that this suits him just fine, since he will chase Rayquaza. Back at the beach, Roy greets the rest of the team, and he then reveals that he found their flag, which Freed has him race. With this, the rising boat tacklers depart, and everyone on the island bids them farewell. The episode ends with Liko and Roy looking at the horizon while stating that their adventure has just begun, that they will find what they are looking for and wondering just how far they will go. So, that's the short but detailed summary of the episode. Now it's time to highlight, analyze, and comment on my favorite moments and or moments that are noteworthy/interesting. I think that it is disappointing that Rayquaza left so soon and without doing much. I get that the point was for it to appear briefly to cause enough havoc to force Amethio and company to retreat, only to then retreat itself without causing trouble for our heroes, while leaving behind a bunch of questions and intrigue and giving Roy something to shoot for. But I was seriously hoping for Rayquaza to do more. Something to immediately establish it as a powerhouse and as something special. But sadly, this did not happen. I also hate that we got no big revelations regarding the ancient Pokeball or the pendant or Rayquaza or the ancient adventurer. Sure, we did learn a few things, like the fact that Rayquaza was inside the Pokeball and that it belonged to the ancient adventurer. But we kind of knew this already, so we really learned nothing revolutionary that made our jaws drop. Yes, I know that this is likely to keep us invested, but they could have at least given us a little something to hook us in more. Honestly, the only revelation I found really interesting is the fact that the explorers are a big organization with several people in the same rank as Amethio, meaning that there will be several major antagonists to face. It won't just be Amethio and his two subordinates all the time. This will add some nice variety in the future. I am also very curious about Giveon, since we heard him speak but we did not even see a silhouette of him. I wonder what kind of person he is and what his ultimate goal is. I cannot wait to meet him and the other high-ranking explorers. I of course love that Roy caught Fuecoco and that he joined the Rising Boat Tacklers. Though of course, I fully expected these two things to happen. But still, it was nice to see, especially since Roy has two clear goals in mind: catching Rayquaza and training Fuecoco so that it can be as strong and cool as Charizard. Which of course means that Fuecoco is pretty much guaranteed to evolve all the way to Skeledirge. Which is awesome since it is my favorite fully evolved Generation 9 starter. Finally, I can appreciate that they had Amethio completely overpower Liko and Roy, since it shows that they still have a lot to learn, and they will need to get a lot stronger to fulfill their dreams. I cannot wait to see how they will grow in the future. But those are my thoughts on and analysis of the episode. Now it's time to bring this review to a close by going over my overall opinion of the episode. So overall, this episode was great. While it was light on big revelations, it provided just enough small little details to draw us in and keep us invested, while also setting the stage not only for the adventure to finally begin for real, but also for our new protagonists to develop and for future conflict that will surely be exciting. Here's hoping that the future of this series will be as bright as the glow of the pendant. But that's the review and the video. So, as always, leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.